All right, everybody, we are ready to begin the run with Mchan 338. Take it away.
All right, thank you for having me on the bonus stream of Completithon. Hello everybody. I'm M238. If you've caught on to the main schedule of Completithon, you might recognize that I did do a run before. It was Link's Awakening. But also, if you've caught on, if you've watched Completithon in general, might recognize I did run this game on the main schedule last year, and now I'm running this game on the bonus stream as part of the backup block. So, thank you for letting me showcase the game anyway. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be showcasing this game. This is one of my favorite speed games, as well as like the original game that got me into speedrunning. This game is very special to me, and yeah, so I guess if we're ready to go, let's go ahead and get started. 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, this is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and the category is 100%. So in 100%, I have to get all the heart pieces, all the heart containers, I have to get all the items, and upgrade everything. I do not need to get any of the maps or compasses, those are optional. I don't need to open every single chest. I don't need to go to the Pond of Happiness that increases our bomb and arrow capacity later on. So it's basically anything that fills up the pause screen is what's required for 100%. So right off the bat, as we don't have a lot of equipment to work off of right now, I'm doing a technique known as pumping. So anytime I am facing left or up, it actually resets Link's movement animation, as his movement animation alternates between 1-2 pixels per frame. And by moving left or up, he starts off with a 2-pixel animation. And so what I'm doing with mashing my D-pad is I'm resetting Link's 2-pixel animation every single time. It doesn't save a whole lot of time, but because I do it quite a bit, it does add up to being a few seconds over the course of the run. Yeah, so now we're heading into Hyrule Castle. Pretty straightforward. We do need to rescue Zelda, as she has been kidnapped along with the other 7 maidens. As a wizard named Aghanim has taken over Hyrule, and wants control access to a place called the Golden Land. I do have to avoid all these enemies here. So Hyrule Castle, right away, a lot of people when they watch speedruns of Link to the Past are mainly familiar with the category known as any percent no major glitches. And so, right away, Hyrule Castle is gonna differentiate from the any percent run by a little bit. And that is that normally the first item that we get is the boomerang. But we're actually not going to get the boomerang in the castle, which sounds a little weird for, you know, a 100% run where you have to get all the items. Some items come in multiple variation tiers of upgrades, and if we're able to get the highest tier without needing to get the middle tiers, then we are allowed to skip any mid-tier variation, as long as we get the highest tier item at some point. So that's what we're going to be doing with the boomerang later on. And not having the boomerang does lose a bit of time early on, but it's not significantly impactful. Okay, nice. So that was kind of our first mini boss right there, the ball and chain guard. He hurts quite a lot. He's kind of your first difficult enemy. He hurts for 1 heart of damage. And we only have 3 hearts to work with, so it can be kind of a scary enemy to deal with right off the bat. And the way I fought him was in a way where I'm close enough to him where I can hit him and not get hit by the ball and chain. So now that we got Zelda, and now we gotta take her out of the castle and into the sanctuary. So I got the lamp in the jail cell, and it's there's 3 different ways to get the lamp. which is the house, the well, as well as the jail cell. And getting it in the jail cell is slightly faster than getting it in Link's house, as it would commonly be picked up at. So as we make our way to the basement section, we do need Zelda and the lamp in order to get into the basement of the castle. So this would be a good time to explain, to talk about RNG, and that is that all the enemies start off in the same place, but they move in different directions. So you want to read and react to any given situation in order to optimize every enemy pattern as much as you can throughout the entire game. So we need Zelda and the lamp in order to push this bookcase, I guess. And now we're going into the dark section. So all these rats move around randomly, so we just have to react accordingly. This room right here, in this room of snakes, much easier with the boomerang, but I don't have the boomerang, so you do have to come up with something else. You can either slash them out of your way, or you can boost through them. It all depends on which RNG you get from the snakes. Now, pumping in the water is especially important because you do move significantly slower in the water. So in this room, let's see, there's a few different patterns that this key rat, this key I need to kill is. Okay, so that is the best pattern that I got from the rat there. If he moves towards you like that, then that's the best situation, because you don't have to walk as far. So in this next room right here, if you hold right, then you actually skip a text trigger. Saves about a second. Sometimes you can get hit into the text trigger by these rats, depending on the RNG. It doesn't happen. It very rarely happens, but it can happen. And we're out of the castle. So in that treasure chest is going to be the only free heart container that we get in the game. Every other heart container, you have to work for it. That is by completing dungeons, as well as getting heart pieces. This heart container is so free to get that even in the any percent NMG run, most runners would actually get that heart container, because it only loses a few seconds, and it's not too far out of the way. So now we're actually going to go straight to the next dungeon, the first real dungeon of the game, which is Eastern Palace. In a 100% run, of course, there are some things that you can do in between, but they are too far out of the way with the current equipment that we have, so we're going straight into the first dungeon. It should also be worth noting that I am running the No Major Glitches rule set. There are a bunch of different subcategories for all the categories in this game. But we're using No Major Glitches. It's the most common variation that most runners compete on in this game. There are a lot of glitches in this game, including one that allows you to beat this game within a minute. But naturally, that run doesn't become interesting to watch over and over again. Anytime I'm going up the stairs, I am wiggling left and right on my D-pad. We call that stair pumping. It's similar to just pumping in general. You go up a little bit faster going up the stairs while mashing left and right. So here we are in Eastern Palace. It's our, again, our first real dungeon. Very straightforward dungeon.
Personally, I like Eastern Palace, at least. So, I run...
What do you think of Eastern Palace, Gerbo?
For this game, so I only run the overworld dungeons, so thank God for that. Eastern Palace, one of my easier ones. I always seem to mess up the skeleton room though. I always seem to get 3 skeletons instead of 2.
Yeah. So in that room, you do have to move a specific way to where only 2 of them will spawn, and they always and their hitbox appears as soon as you enter the room, so you can throw the pots at where they're going to spawn, and it defeats them very quickly without having to have them spawn. So in this next room coming up is our first sequence break of the game. That is the anti-fairy skip. So in the room with the big key, I do have to kill all the enemies normally, but I am going to boost my way. I'm going to damage boost and use the iframes to hit a switch surrounded by anti-fairies in order to make the big key chest appear. Nice, just like that. And that skips having to fight any of the enemies at all. So continuing onwards, we are now going to get the main item of the dungeon, which is the bow. I'm going to be racking up on arrows beforehand because the bow does not come with arrows in this game. Alright, so there's our bow, and we're going to be using the bow quite a lot. So in every given opportunity, we are going to be stocking up on arrows as much as we can. The arrow routing is not very precise at all, that you will always have some leniency with arrows throughout the game. So once again, pick up more arrows, hit the switch over here in order to progress to the next room. You could defeat this Igor, but you can just go behind him and hit that switch right there, and then this cannonball room is completely RNG. Okay, oh my gosh, that was a little crazy. Oh, I missed that guy. That's okay. These red Igors can only be shot with the arrow. Okay, and now Armos Knights. Here we go. Let's see how this goes.
That was a very beautiful Armos fight. That was chef's kiss right there.
There we go. Yeah, so the way I did that fight was in a way where the last Armos was not going to turn red. If he turns red, he gains all of his health back, and so you want to do that fight in a way where the last Armos won't turn red and gain all of his health back. So that was a pretty good fight. So now that we defeated the first dungeon, East Palace, we're now going to go to Sahasrahla and get another really good item known as the Pegasus Boots. The Pegasus Boots allows you to dash, and when you're dashing, you move really fast, which means the pacing of the run will start to increase now. There's also another cool thing that the Pegasus Boots can do, which we'll get to momentarily. So now that we got our Pegasus Boots, we're going to go ahead and go back over here behind this cave. And we're going to get bombs for some tricks later on, as well as some rupees, because we do need quite a bit of rupees throughout the run. So hopefully, if I do this trick correctly, then... Nice. Okay, so what I just did there is a trick called Super Speed, where if you release your spin attack and then press A 1 frame after, then Link will get put into a state where you can't use your sword, and if you go up manual stairs, then Link will just move really fast. So that saves having to use the Pegasus Boots every single time, and so in some of the larger screens especially, it saves quite a few seconds throughout some of those screens alone. Obviously, of course, because of the time it takes to set up, it's not worth doing all the time. Like, there are some instances, like, for example, this screen right here, like, having super speed for this particular screen barely saves any time, but we do it anyway because it looks really cool. So we need the Pegasus Boots in order to hit Bonkin's bookshelf to get the Book of Medora, which we need in order to enter the second dungeon. It should also be worth noting that this super speed trick that I'm doing only works on the Japanese 1.0 version. And that's primarily the reason why I am playing on the Japanese 1.0 version. Some of these tricks only work on this version, which also includes every other version, which also includes like other language versions. some of these tricks don't work. So, very specific to be playing on Japanese 1.0. And there are other tricks coming up later that we'll go over that are exclusive to Japanese 1.0, but Super Speed is kind of the main trick. So here we are into the desert area, and we're going to use the Book of Medora to open up the next dungeon. And this next dungeon really demonstrates how useful dashing is. So, as you can see, whenever I'm dashing, there is a startup animation. So, as a result, optimizing dashes is pretty important, because you don't want to dash all the time. It's not very efficient. So the general rule of thumb for movement in this game is if the part they need to go to is about 4.5 tiles or more, then it is worth dashing. And then for some of the shorter distances, or if you're about to get hit, then it is worth walking. So as you can see, there's a lot of these long hallways. It really demonstrates how useful dashing is. See what I get in this cannonball room. Okay. Sometimes those cannonballs are shot in a way where you can actually dash through the whole room, and other times not as much. So you do have to react accordingly to that room. Still racking up on arrows, because we do need quite a bit of arrows, especially for the boss fight coming up. This is a really easy dungeon to go through. And until you get to the boss fight. So we got the Power Glove, which allows you to pick up the white rocks that are seen around the overworld, and we do need that in order to enter the second part of the dungeon. Desert Palace, as well as some other dungeons, are unique in the fact that they have multiple ways of entering the dungeon. So we're now going to exit the first part, and we're going to head into the second part. And before we get to the second part, there is a heart piece that we're going to get. This is our first heart piece that we're going to be getting in the run. As it is 100%, so we do need to get all those heart pieces. So here we are going into the second part. So I'm going to do a trick called key dashing. So normally whenever you dash into a locked door, you bonk. But as you can see, I just dashed straight into the locked door. And that is... if you dash into a locked door on your 4th pixel animation of the dash, then you can just go straight into the locked door. It's not very precise, because there are visual cues like with a bunch of different objects that line up perfectly, so that you'll always get the 4th pixel each time. Oh, I missed that torch. Okay, so come up is Landmolas. So there are 3 Landmola worms that come out of the ground, and they each take 4 arrows or 8 slashes, and it is completely luck-based. Yeah, that's 1 down. Nice! Alright, that was a pretty good fight. That fight is very hard to get good at, because it's a bunch of reading and reacting, and if you're really good, you can get a 2 cycle. 2 cycles is in the Landmolas come out of the ground 2 times, but it's random whether you get the 2 cycle or not, because they can also do a short hop, which means you have less time to get arrows in. Which makes the 2 cycle harder if they short hop. So it's a very hard fight to get good at this early on in the run. So as we make our way to out of the desert, we're gonna get this other heart piece, and then coming up is our next Japanese 1.0 trick. Since Gerbo only runs Master Sword, where save and quitting is allowed, you don't get to see that trick in that run. Yeah, so the way Fake Flippers works is if I screen transition on the very last pixel, if I jump in the water and screen transition on the last pixel, then Link gets the ability to swim. I don't have flippers, so I cannot swim right now. So the consequence of this trick is that it can be kind of risky to do. If you get hit, then the game doesn't know where to put you. So as a result, the game will soft lock. So there's my fake flippers right there. I gotta go into this portal before the Zora hits me.
Thanks,
okay,
super
good.
speed.
I made it in, and there's no soft locks, so the run continues. And this saves
That
like
was a
6
nice
seconds
speed out of
over
fake flipper. That was
just
nice.
going straight up. So yeah. What were you about to say? Yeah, that one's pretty hard. Alright, so now we're about to head over to the Dark Cave and go straight to our next dungeon. Nice. So, that's a nice boost. It's RNG whether you get that boost or not, so that was really cool. So I guess something else to talk about Tex is, so obviously I am playing on the Japanese version, which saves the most amount of time in text. That has the fewest amount of text boxes. To advance your text, you can use all 4 face buttons. So I am mashing all four face buttons every time. But on the very last text box, I'm actually mashing L and R to clear the last text, because L and R only clears the last text box. And some runners do this so that way they are not accidentally over mashing text to where they accidentally use an item that they don't want to use at that given situation. So what some runners do is actually memorize how many text boxes there are in every instance of dialogue. Okay, so coming up is our first bomb jump. So let's see how this goes. This bomb jump is pretty difficult. And if I fail, it's not the end of the world. I just lose a bit of time. So what I'll do is I'm going to set myself up in a pixel-perfect position in order to boost myself across this very large pit. Okay, that looks good, so... Good! So that allows me to escape this cave at a higher spot of the mountain. So that's really cool. Some other runners will do something else called hovering. It's very complicated to explain how hovering works, so I'm not going to bother to try to explain it. But the point is some runners will like to do it, and it saves a little bit more time, but it has a higher risk of failing if it doesn't go well. So now here we are in Tower of Hera, or Mountain Tower. And we got the mirror from the old man when we took him out of the Dark Cave. And the mirror is really good, because as you can see, it warps you back to the very beginning of the dungeon, which saves backtracking, because as you can see, as soon as I get the key from this floor, I gotta go all the way back up to the first floor, and then to the next room, which would be very tedious, so the mirror eliminates that process. Alright, here's a fun trick that I can do right here. Alright.
I don't.
So, at this
room
point, I
in,
can give Gerbo the controller and take over the run if he wants for a little bit.
Will you be doing Harapot, or is that not a thing that does, like, happens? Okay.
No, that's not a thing this one. So what I just did there is, if you're standing on the pegs while they're up, then you just get invincibility frames for as long as you're standing on those pegs, which allows me to just chill out in the tile room without having to risk getting hit. So it's a really cool thing. It doesn't really save anything. It's just something that you can do for fun. I usually do it if I like my arrow count going out of Landmolas. So now we're going into the main part, now that we got the big key. And there is another trick, which is another bomb jump, as the item that we're about to get here is the Moon Pearl. So the Moon Pearl, we need the Moon Pearl in order to progress further into the game. But the way you get the Moon Pearl normally is you're supposed to go to the top floor and fall down a pit in order to get to the chest up there, but... Nice! If you bomb jump, then you'll boost yourself across the pit and get the Moon Pearl just like that. Alright, and then I'm going to dash this bumper, and that is by positioning myself in a specific position, and then we are going to fight everybody's favorite boss. Nobody's ever lost a run to this boss, and that is Moldorm. So you can only hit him in the tail. The head bounces you back. Takes 6 hits. I have 4 hits right now, and on the after the 5th hit, he starts to speed up. Come on. Very good. So if you get knocked around and if you fall down the pit, then the fight resets. He gains all of his health back. But also additionally, that center hole there, if you fall down there, then you'll fall down 2 floors, which adds more to the time loss. So this can be kind of a painful fight to do. But when you fight Moldorm several hundred times, then you'll start to recognize some patterns, but you can never truly predict what Moldorm's going to do. So, now we're going to head out of Death Mountain and back into the main overworld. And we're going to head into Lost Woods now that we got all 3 pendants. We do need all 3 pendants in order to get the main item like our main objective that we're after in this part of the game, which is the Master Sword. Gerbo, please. Yeah, so the Lost Woods is pretty straightforward. We're supposed to get that mushroom, but I'm gonna get that later. Slightly faster, get that mushroom after, as we'll be passing by that area again anyway. And so now we got the Master Sword. So the Master Sword is our first of many sword upgrades that we'll be getting in the game. And so now we're going to be doing 2 base damage. There are some other damage values that are a little complicated to explain, but for the most part we're doing 2 base damage to enemies. But additionally, when you're at full HP, then you'll have sword beams. And sword beams always do 1 base damage, no matter what sword upgrade that you have. And sword beams allow you to hit enemies from a distance, as well as hit switches from a distance, so it's useful for some puzzles, as well as you know, hitting enemies from a distance. So there are some parts where health management is pretty important, so that way you can utilize sword beams in the optimal situations. So we got the mushroom there. If you actually get the mushroom before the Master Sword, then the mushroom actually does respawn, and you can pick it up again. So some runners will always pick it up on the way out of the Master Sword area, so that way they don't risk picking it up again due to like movement error. So after getting the Master Sword, Zelda got kidnapped again. So now I gotta go back to Hyrule Castle again to rescue her again. Oh, jeez. No! Oh my gosh, that was not what I wanted there. That's fine. So we're gonna go to a different part of the castle, which is the first instance where the Master Sword is required. As there's a barrier blocking this part of the castle, and it can only be broken with the Master Sword. So this is a castle dungeon. A lot of people like to call it Agam's Tower, but it's called Castle Dungeon in this game. And it's essentially just a gauntlet of fighting several enemies in several different rooms. So I'm gonna lure those guys and use a double spin on both of them. And then I'm going to spin attack those 2 soldiers. Some runners will actually do something else, a different strat to kill those guys in order to manipulate a fairy drop later on in the game, but it is 100%, and usually at a certain point you get so much health that manipulating a fairy drop isn't really that important. So he's gotta keep on climbing. And sometimes, depending on how many rupees you have up until this point, you may or may not approach this room differently in order to grab some rupees. But since I have enough rupees for this part of the game, I can just do a very simple strat throughout that room. Alright, we gotta defeat these red soldiers. Oh, that guy escaped me. Alright. Alright. Oh, come on. Alright. Okay, that's fine. This room is so much easier if you have the boomerang, but I don't obviously I don't have the boomerang. So this is another one of those instances where not having the boomerang can be is a disadvantage early on in the run. Okay, so I've gone up this Aghanim, and I want people in the chat to get their guesses as to how many blue balls I am going to get. So the way this fight works is Aghanim has a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is an energy shot, and then attacks 2, 3, and 4 is an energy shot or a blue ball. A blue ball is a non-reflectable attack, and you just waste time. And it's 50% whether or not you get a blue ball on attacks 2, 3, or 4. And then attack 5 is a lightning attack, and then the cycle repeats itself until Aghanim is defeated. Aghanim takes 6 energy shots to defeat. So, assuming you don't miss any of the guaranteed energy shots, then your worst odds come out to be 15. But it's extremely rare, so we probably won't see it. So that's 1 blue ball. I'm seeing a 5 in the chat. That's 2. Oh man, is this actually gonna happen? Okay, alright, out of contention for 15. Alright, we're good. So you just gotta keep on rinsing and repeating. The other optimization I'm doing is I'm trying to hit Aghanim on the center of the room as much as possible, so that way it takes less time moving from left to right, and vice versa. Okay, that's 2 blue balls. Alright, we love it. So, sorry Gerbo, I'm sorry it's not 5, but, you know, less is good.
Yeah, I always have the worst luck at Aghanim. Like, I always get like 5 or more.
Yeah, that tends to happen. There's kind of a curse that goes around with several different runners where if you have a good run up until this point, then you'll generally get a lot of blue balls. Whereas if your run is bad up until this point, then he tends to give you either 0 or just few. Kind of a curse. It doesn't really make much sense, but we swear that it happens a lot. But anyway, here we are into the next part of the game, which is the other overworld known as the Dark World. So, oh, I was unlucky. Okay, so getting hit there is actually kind of bad for this next dungeon. But hopefully we'll make it out alive. But anyway, so this is the Dark World. We have 8 more dungeons to go through. Right now, we only have access to the first Dark World dungeon, and then after that, you can do dungeons 2 through 7 in several different orders. So this is where the game really starts to open up, and also the game starts to get significantly harder from here, because as you saw, with that enemy doing 2 hearts of damage to me, the enemies here in the Dark World, they hit quite hard. So, I could easily die from this point on, as this is a pretty difficult game. All right, so going into Palace of Darkness, we do need to get several different keys in order to progress to different rooms. And there's also a major sequence break in this dungeon that hopefully it doesn't take too many tries for me to get. Also, it should be worth noting that with Kiki the Monkey following me around as I got into the dungeon, you need 10 rupees for him to follow you. You also have to make sure that while he's following you, you don't get hit. Otherwise, you have to find him again and pay 10 more rupees. Which can be kind of bad, but it's not too bad because you can recognize some enemy patterns and react accordingly. So you shouldn't get hit all the time. And then you need 100 rupees for him to open up the dungeon. So in total, you need at least 110 at this point of the game. And we were at 112, so we were good. So this will be a good time to talk about this next trick coming up. So this is another bomb jump, and this bomb jump is a very difficult bomb jump. Because what I have to do is I need to set myself up, as well as the bomb, both in pixel-perfect positions. So it's a double pixel-perfect trick. All that in order to clip through a railing in order to get the item of the dungeon earlier than intended, which is the hammer. All that while setting up over a collapsing bridge. So it is a very difficult trick. But it saves a significant amount of time because I'm able to skip 2 extra keys in the process. So here we go. Nice! Alright, so we got the hammer. It's called MC Hammer in Japanese, or the Magic Hammer. And we do need to get that extra key there in the Dark Maze in order to go through the rest of the dungeon. So having 3 hearts down is fine because I'm able to refill on 3 hearts in this room in order to be back at full HP, which is convenient because having sword beams in this last half of the dungeon saves a significant amount of time in menuing. Because there's going to be a ton of switches that you need to hit from a distance, and I'm able to use sword beams without having to do too much menuing. So right here, I need to use the bow here, and now I need to switch to hammer. And then the next switch that I'm going to be hitting, you do need a long-distance projectile in order to hit. And that will be our sword beam, instead of having to menu to the bow. And then back to hammer, of course. So use the hammer in order to knock that down, use the sword beams, and then come up as the turtle room. Hopefully no turtle parties. We call that a turtle party if you struggle too many times in this room, which doesn't look like I'm going to. Very good. Alright, so then coming up is the Helmasaur King fight. So it takes 17 hits with the hammer in order to break his mask, and then the second phase requires 8 slashes. Oh, he's giving me a lot of fireballs. This is not very good RNG here. Okay, the mask is off. Now we're off to the second phase. I just need to slash him a bunch of times. You can use the hammer, it does a little bit more damage, but the spot you need to hammer him is very precise, so I usually use the sword. It's a very good fight, despite the 3 fireballs that he gave me. All of his attacks do 2 hearts of damage, so it can be very rough depending on what patterns Helmasaur King gives you. But we made it out alive, fortunately, and dropped my controller in the process. Alright, so now at this point, this is where the game starts to open up, as we have the option to do the rest of the dungeons in different orders. There is a set path that the game wants you to do the dungeons in, but we are going to not say yes to that and do the dungeons out of order. As some items from some dungeons save time over other dungeons. And so the difficulty of the game, in the run that is, kind of curves around a bit, as sometimes we'll be doing a late game dungeon earlier than intended, or sometimes we'll be doing it in early game dungeon later than intended. So the difficulty kind of goes all over the place. So coming up is our next Japanese 1.0 trick. It's called item dashing. So if you dash and use the item on the same frame, then you use the item and dash at the same time. So as you saw there, I was able to dash right through those pegs using the hammer. Yeah, it looks really cool. Alright, so we're gonna take a little bit of a detour down over here in order to get some extra rupees, as we do need rupees for some minigames coming up. In fact, actually, our first minigame is coming up, which is the digging game. Kind of the defining factor of 100% speedruns. So I want people in chat to get their guesses as to how many tries it's going to take me to get the heart piece from the digging game, and we'll explain in a moment. And so we still need to collect a few things along the way. So, coming down here, grabbing a heart piece. And then there's another cool trick that we're going to be doing here. And that is that I'm going to... the next item I'm going to get is the flute. So first I'm going to talk to this guy in order to get the shovel. And then I'm going to warp at a specific spot to where if I grab the flute on the same spot that I'm about to warp back, then it actually skips a cutscene to where all these animals leave the screen. So I grab the flute on top of that portal, and then I just warp back to the Dark World without having to see the animals going away. And it's only useful in this category and not in any percent, because in any percent you have to be in light in order to do some things. But here I need to be in the Dark World in order to do the things that I need to do. So here's the digging game. So again, get your guesses in the chat as to how many heart pieces I'm going to get from the digging game. So the way it works is the first 25 holes that you dig has a 0% chance of giving you a heart piece, and every other hole after that has a 1 out of 32 chance at getting a heart piece. So if you dig optimally, then the odds add up to about 1/3 chance per minigame. And if you're not getting the heart piece, then you're hoping for good rupee luck as well, because you do need the rupees for other things later in the run. Okay, so that was the first try. So I didn't get it. So now I gotta reset the screen and then try it again until I get the heart piece. And it's a 40-second time loss per attempt. What do you think about the minigame, Gerbo?
I absolutely hate the digging game.
Oh, let's go! Second try. All right. Okay, what were you saying?
No, I hate the digging game with a passion. It's never nice to me. I seem to always max out on the time before I find what I want. Nah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it can be a very brutal minigame, especially when grinding for a really good time in this category. It's one of the main reasons why, if you'll notice on the Link to the Past leaderboards, there's not very many runners who actually run this category, and even then, most of the runners that are most of the names that are even on that leaderboard don't even run this category long term because want to grind through because you could have the run of your life up until that point, and then all of a sudden you don't get the luck that you need in order to PB, and then that's it. This point of the run's about 40-ish minutes into the run, so 40 minutes, don't get the good luck, reset, try again, and it's a 2-hour run. You'll be spending quite a lot of time on this category per session if you are really trying to grind down for a good time. And as a result, that's not something that many runners want to do long term. But outside of the major RNG factors, I really like this category. It's my favorite category. It's the category I actually spend the most amount of time on. So yeah, for as long as I ran this game, which is 11 years at this point, I've been able to power through this category. And I continue to run this category. So as you can see, we're collecting a bunch of stuff, and these are items that you can get much but we save it till now because we are around this area, and with the equipment that we have at this point, it's much faster to get these items at this point. So we got the flute. So with the flute, we activate the flute in order to activate our fast travel system, which is the bird that allows to warp in 8 different locations of the map. Okay, so we may have gotten away with second try dig, but the RNG is not over, as coming up is the chess game. Fortunately, the chess game is much easier than the digging game in comparison, as far as your odds are. But you can still get unlucky. So, again, get your guesses in chat as to how many tries it's going to take for me to get the heart piece from the chess game. So I guess we can probably explain it while I'm still collecting more items before we get there. So it's 30 rupees per attempt in order to open up 2 chests. And the contents can contain rupees, bombs, arrows, a heart, or a heart piece. And you have a 1 in 8th chance of getting a heart piece from the chess game. And there's a glitch in the Japanese 1.0 version where you can only get the heart piece on the second chest that you open per attempt, so you just have a flat-out 1 in 8 chance of getting the heart piece. So the odds aren't quite in our favor in this version. So we'll see how this goes. Warp to the Dark World in this spot. And, yeah, here we go. And again, if you don't get good luck, then you hope for good rupees. Because if you take a lot of tries in this minigame, then you could really eat up your rupees. So that was 1 try, and fortunately it's really fast to retry. So you can get away with quite a bit of attempts. Okay, well, it's not quite going as well as I'd like. Maybe it's the trade-off for having good digging game RNG, but who knows? I'm getting a lot of rupees though, which is good because you want to leave the chess game with at least 600 rupees. Man, you keeping count, right, Gerbo?
Is is this the fourth or fifth attempt?
That felt like 5, I think. I kind of lost count. Either way, we got the heart piece. Still decently fast. Could have been better, but, you know, we take it. Alright, so now that we got the heart piece, it is now time to go into our next dungeon. And if you know this game, then you might recognize that I'm actually in the 4th dungeon, and not in the 2nd or 3rd dungeon. So in a lot of routes, you want to do the 4th dungeon as early as you can, because there's an item in this dungeon that is very useful, and it significantly speeds up much of the a lot of things in this game. Oh, that was not good. So yeah, this dungeon is very easy. Hopefully don't get too destroyed. So coming up is the Heck Way, and basically it's a long conveyor belt room with lots of enemies that get in your way. Oh my gosh. Okay, not too bad. Could have been a lot worse, but we're fine. There is a pixel-perfect position where you can just dash through straight into the hallway. But it's random whether you get the dash or not, because the enemies can just get in your way and you don't get the dash anyway. Alright, so we're gonna bomb this for some reason. I don't really know what the purpose of me doing it. I just always do it because it's fun. Now, I'm going to get a fairy. It is not because the rest of this dungeon is really hard, but there is a trick later on the run where I'm going to be taking a ton of intentional damage, and so having this fairy allows me to have a bit of relief later on, in case this upcoming trick that I'm alluding to doesn't go well. Oh, come on. That's normally a bunny beam, but you can actually turn it into a fairy before it even shows up on, or without even lifting up that pot. So we got the maiden, and she wants to go out of the dungeon, but if you take her out of the dungeon, she's gonna say that she doesn't want to go there. And why is that? I don't know. So we got the Titan's Mitts, which is going to significantly open up quite a bit of the overworld. I'm going to grab those arrows, because I didn't quite get the arrows I didn't quite get any arrows in the chess game. Oh, I hear boss music. Oh, it's blind! Oh my gosh, who could have saw this coming? Nice! Okay, so that fight is, it looked really easy, and that's because it is a very consistent fight in the speedrun. Many people, when they play this game casually, consider this fight to be a really hard fight, but if you know Blind's movement patterns, then it should always be consistent. A lot of runners come up with their own way of fighting Blind. As long as you can come up with your own way of fighting Blind the same way every single time, then it should be a very consistent fight. So, 2 crystals down, and 5 more left in order to enter the 8th dungeon. And now that we got the Titan's Mitts, it's going to allow us to open up quite a bit of the overworld. Particularly one major side quest. So yeah, first off, I'm gonna go down over here to this hut, blow it up, and in this chest is normally 300 rupees, But as you can see, I got the red boomerang, which is actually the upgraded boomerang. The reason that exists is because you can't go back to Hyrule Castle at around this point in order to get the blue boomerang. So the game just gives you the red boomerang, and it's upgraded. So getting that boomerang saves a lot of time over getting the blue boomerang in Hyrule Castle and having to upgrade it later. So it works out in this category. So it's really cool. So lots of item dashes with the hammer, with these pegs, in order to skip having to hammer all these pegs one by one. And the Titan-Smiths allows you to lift up these dark stones, which I use in order to save this frog, which is a dwarf in the light world. And we're going to go over here to the smith's shop, and he's going to actually temper our sword. And what that means is it's another sword upgrade. And this sword upgrade is so useful that even in the any % run, we pick up this sword upgrade. It's optional, but the benefits of this sword upgrade is so useful that even going out of your way to do this side quest, it's very much worth it. So, we turned our sword for 10 rupees. Right now, I am currently 14 rupees short than I'd like to be, but that is okay because I know where to find extra rupees later on. So sometimes if you get good enough luck in Digging and Chess game to where you can be lower on rupees than you'd like, so sometimes it's not always a good thing to be too lucky. So, what happened there is that Mad Batter actually gave us half magic, and what that means is any item that I use that uses magic actually uses half the magic, so it's essentially, you can consider it a double magic upgrade. So it's a really cool upgrade, and you can aggressively use any magic-consuming items that you wouldn't otherwise do in an any % run. Nice! Okay, so what I just did there is as soon as the frame after saying yes on that guy, able to use the flute, and that saves about a few seconds, and that looked really cool. So we're about to go into our next dungeon now that we got our sword upgrade, and that is Skull Woods, which is supposed to be the third Dark World dungeon. It is our third Dark World dungeon, so it kind of works out, I guess. But yeah, so Skull Woods is a very complicated dungeon because there are several ways that you can enter this dungeon, and so the intention is that you're supposed to get lost. But I know the fastest way through Skull Woods, so I'm not gonna get lost. But it is a very hard dungeon anyway, because right off the bat, the first room is kind of the hardest room to do right away, because these Gibdos, they move erratically. So I did get hit there. That's fine, I can get away with it. Hopefully the rest of the dungeon goes well, so I'm not taking too much damage. But basically the Gibdos move around based on your movement, so you kind of want to move in a way where you can manipulate the Gibdos to not be in your way. But sometimes, like, the movement's so precise that you don't always get the same results with those Gibdos. So here's another sequence break. Very nice. So normally it's supposed to fall down in the 3x3 bush that I walked past earlier in order to get over to that chest, but by doing another bomb jump, I'm able to skip that process. And it skips having to go through an extra room, so it's a really nice sequence break for us. Now that we got the fire rod, it's now time to head over to the main part of the dungeon. So here we go. So So the main part of the dungeon is where things get pretty difficult. We use the fire rod in order to open that part up. You can actually walk on the corner of that platform without having to hit that star platform. Okay, nice. Okay, so coming up is Mothula. Mothula either goes really well or really poorly, and no in between. So, let's see how it goes, and then we'll try to explain it. Oh boy. This is not good. Okay, alright. A little bit sketchy, but we made it out of there. That's another crazy fight. And that's because you're on a moving conveyor, the spikes move around, and then Mothula is moving around and attacking you. So the longer the fight goes, then the crazier the whole fight gets. So, like I said, it goes really well or really wrong and no in between. It was almost at the point where it's going to go really wrong, but fortunately, I was able to get out of there. And as you can see, because I did Thieves' Town before Skull Woods, this is the benefit of how useful getting the Temper Sword is, and why doing Thieves' Town as early as you can is very beneficial. Because normally when you're doing the dungeon in order, you would still have the Master Sword at this point, which means you have to do more hits on Mothula, and it gets really crazy. But also, another thing that makes that fight crazy is that if you hit Mothula while he's above spikes, he takes 0 damage. I was trying to... You saw that I wasn't always hitting him, and that's because I'm trying to hit him in a way where he's not going to get hit into the spikes, so that way I can maximize damage as much as possible. So it is a pretty specific fight. Okay, so now we gotta do a few things here. So mainly, we are going this direction in order to get flippers now. Because the next dungeon that we're about to do is Ice Palace, which is the 5th dungeon. So normally, when people think of Ice Palace, it's kind of dreadful because it's very long and it's 10 floors, lots of puzzles, lots of backtracking. It's really annoying. But Ice Palace is a very short dungeon in speedrun. I'll get more into it later, but for now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna throw anything into that circle. Which will have this catfish give me our first of a medallion, which is Quake. We need this medallion in order to enter a later dungeon. So we're going to get that now. And now we're going to get flippers. Flippers cost 500 rupees, which is why you need a lot of rupees early on in the game, up until this point. Now, in order to enter Ice Palace, since it is going to be our next dungeon within this route, it is actually possible to fake flippers into Ice Palace, but it is not faster to do that, and you need flippers anyway in order to do another dungeon later on. So we're going to get it now. So we're going to get flippers now, since we're around the general location. Fall down this waterfall, take a slight detour over to this direction, or get this heart piece, and then we'll be on our way to Ice Palace. Ice Palace, personally, to me, is one of my favorite dungeons. I think it's it looks aesthetically really nice, like design-wise, but obviously, of course, with the puzzles, it can be a little tedious, but it's a really cool dungeon to speedrun. So. Okay, here we go. Into Ice Palace. So having sword beams up until this point makes this room easier. Now, the item of the dungeon is blue mail, and we're actually gonna be skipping it. We don't need it. We don't need blue mail at all, even 100%. Again, sounds weird, but since we are allowed to skip any middle variation tier item as long as we can get the highest tier, that's what we're gonna do. Alright, hopefully I can get this. That's probably not gonna... Oh, it did. Oh, okay. I was trying to hit that switch there on the bottom, but that's okay. Okay, so coming up is the biggest sequence break of the entire game, and that is the Ice Palace bomb jump. Let's see how this goes. Nice. I'm gonna wait here. Gonna let him hit me, so that way it doesn't push me off, and I have to set the trick up again. So, that trick allows me to go straight to the end of the dungeon without needing to go through all these roundabouts in this dungeon. So it is a huge sequence break. In fact, in this route, you do need to do this trick, because the other alternative is to get the item from the second dungeon, which we haven't done yet. Okay, and now coming up is Cold Stare. So, because I skipped Blue Mail, that means the rest of this dungeon is gonna have hard-hitting enemies, which also includes Cold Stare. Nice! Okay. A little bit offhand, but that was still a good fight. So as you can see, I came in this fight with a lot of hearts, but my health bar went down significantly. And that's because Cold Stare hits for 4 hearts of damage, because you're supposed to have Blue Mail. I didn't pick it up, nor am I going to. So, yeah, as a result, you can die very easily if the fight goes out of hand. And when you die, you lose so much time. So much time that it's very common in Link to the Past races that people will just forfeit if they die to Cold Stare, because you just lose so much time. Alright, and now coming up is the hardest part of the run. So we're going to go back to Death's Mountain, and we're about to get an item known as the Cane of Burna. In the cave where the Cane of Burna is at is a cave with a lot of spikes. And so what I'm going to do, assuming I get there with full HP, because it's not always in my control whether I get there without getting hit due to the RNG of Death Mountain, I am going to go through the cave and hopefully barely make it out with 1 heart remaining. Okay, so there's a heart drop that I can get, hopefully. It's luck-based whether I get the heart drop. I would like to. I do have a fairy, so this trick that I'm about to do isn't too bad with the fairy, but I would like to have full hearts so I can show this off. Okay, here's a fairy. Please get it. Thank you very much. Alright, and now let's see how this goes. Nice! So, yeah, your movement has to be very, very, like, close to perfect, getting through that cave. Because as you see, I'm just getting through that with 1 heart. And then I use the Cane of Burna, which allows you to turn invincible in order to get out of that cave. So, as you see, 1 movement mistake, and it's over. And since I got the that fairy for that very specific purpose, but since I made it out of there alive, I don't have to worry. I am not in concern of dying, and that fairy is used for reserve in case I do die past this point. So, it is scary right now. I am at 1 heart, but it's not too bad because the next heart piece I'm going to get will give us a 4th heart piece in order to make up another heart container, so that way I can refill my hearts back to full. Which is convenient because you want full hearts at this point of for this next dungeon coming up here. So this next dungeon is Misery Mire, and based on the name, it's full of misery. It is my least favorite dungeon. I hate this dungeon with a passion. I have openly expressed that if you've ever watched me do runs of this game. What's difficult about this dungeon is health management is very important. The enemies in here do a lot of damage because you're supposed to have completed Ice Palace at this point, which I have, but I didn't get Blue Mail, so the enemies here are gonna hit pretty hard. Alright, let's see if I get this. Oh, man! Alright. I was trying to do a 0 cycle strat in that room. 0 cycle meaning defeating all the wizards before they disappear. Oop, I am gonna go. Oh, what do I do? Okay. So health management is very important because the fastest way to beat the boss of this dungeon requires a lot of intentional damage, and the enemies here hit pretty hard, particularly the wizards. They hit for 4 hearts of damage. So it's a very scary dungeon as a result. Grab this key. So, earlier, when I fluted over back to the desert, that rock that I picked up in order to get to the Dark World, I picked it up in a very specific way. And that actually sets up for a trick later in this dungeon. So what I'm doing here is you can actually shoot the fire rod through those moving blocks while they're moving in order to hit those torches from where I'm pushing the blocks. It's a really cool trick. So we're about to get the big key here. And then we'll be on our way to the item of the dungeon, known as the Cane of Samaria. It's a really cool item, because when you use it, you place a block, you can move it around, and then when you use the Cane of Samaria again, the block will shoot in 4 different directions. And then in a later dungeon, you can use the Cane of Samaria in order to create platforms. So it's a very, really cool item. It only makes a return in... It does make a return in Ages, but aside from that, you don't really see this item anywhere else. Dash through the laser bridge and we're gonna get the Cane of Samaria, just like that. Go through the spikes here in order to get this key. I'll pick this heart up. Okay, so coming up is a trick called Spooky Mire Glitch. So I set myself up for this specific trick when I was talking about picking up the rock in a very specific way. So here we go. Let's see how this goes. Wait, hold on. Alright, hold on. Okay, that should work. So by using the can of Samario while you're dashing, that should also set up something else that you'll see in this room. It's gonna look really weird. Nice. So, basically, that changes the hitbox of your fire rod. And by hitting that anti-fairy, you're able to hit that switch up in the next room without needing to go into the next room, and then hit that torch in order to hit that top switch right there. So, oh no. That's not good. Alright. Alright, coming up is Vitreous, here we go. Okay, nice. Okay, good. Alright. So, in this fight, as you can see, I'm in the slime, and hitting the eyeballs in the slime. The slime does 1 heart of damage. Now, as you can see, as a result, you're going to be losing lots of damage in this fight. What's crazy is if you mess up the fight, whether it's getting hit by the eyeballs or whatever, then that fight can go really wrong really quickly. And the eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage. So you can very easily mess up the fight and have it go very wrong very quickly. But fortunately that didn't happen. So... Alright, and now, coming up is the hardest trick in the game. There's been many hard tricks, but this is the de facto. And if I don't get this trick, then the run is over. Let's go! I got the trick! So, basically, by using the mirror on a moving block inside any cave area, it deletes the block for some reason. I don't know why it works, but it works out. So, I mean, and that's the most important part as a runner, so... Yeah, and it only works in Japanese 1.0.
Yeah, moving blocks have weird properties with a lot of items in this game. Like, you can shoot fire rods through them, you can hookshot through moving blocks,
yeah.
You can delete them.
Yeah, it's weird. This game's weird, but that's why we like it. At least one of the reasons. Okay. So, a few different things, or a few things before entering the next dungeon. Mainly, head over here, and we're going to get this other medallion known as Bombos. Bombos is one of my favorite items in the game. Unfortunately, never gets used in the speedrun because what it does is it destroys all the enemies in the room, which is really good, but the animation to use it takes so long that it never gets used in the speedrun at all. There are some creative things that you can do with it if you ever watch like a randomizer run, but this is not a randomizer, so you will not be seeing it. Alright, so that trick that I said earlier, oh my gosh, I did it, wow. It's you have no idea how hard it is for me to just press Y there. Alright, so draining the water, or I guess filling the water up, and that actually affects stuff here in the Dark World, because now we go inside this dungeon. We now have water in this dungeon, so now we can actually do it. So this is Swamp Palace, which is actually our second Dark World dungeon, the intended second Dark World dungeon, but we're doing it as our sixth dungeon with 16 hearts. So as a result, this is a very easy dungeon, at this point of the run. Like, we've been doing Skullwoods, Ice Palace, and Misery Mire all back to back. And so, after doing all that difficult stuff, we get a breather in this run. This first half of the dungeon, there's basically nothing to talk about. A lot of it's just doing things the way you're intended to do. So, Gerbo, hi.
Hi.
How are you enjoying the run right now?
I'm enjoying the run. I thought there was a new glitch in that room that you could skip filling up the water.
Ah, yes. So that trick is actually not allowed in this run.
What? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you didn't like Mire, but you made it look so easy. Is a lot of it just consistency for you then?
Yeah. A lot of what I do, a lot of what I've been doing is what I've been doing. I've been running this game for a very long time, so you know, I might have had Mire might have went really well for me, but doesn't always go well. A lot of my runs usually die in Mire.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'm just mesmerized by the gameplay because, like, I'm seeing things that I normally don't see doing, you know, Master Sword, and even randomizers. You're showing me a lot of glitches I don't know about.
Yeah, that trick that you were asking about earlier, randomizer players actually do it. For somehow, yeah, there's a kind of a divide between the randomizer community and the speedrun community on what tricks to allow in both randomizers and speedruns.
Okay.
So, since you said that you've only ran Master Sword, do you think after watching this run that you might be inspired to try out this category?
I'm definitely inspired to try out the category. The things I'm not ready for are Mire.
Okay.
Maybe Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock always gives me some issues.
Yeah.
Ooh, my favorite item.
Yeah, the hook shot. All right, so now that we got the hook shot, we can latch onto different things, so it's a really cool item as a result. And also, sometimes, in some cases, using the hook shot to grapple on things is technically the fastest form of movement in some situations. I just did an item dash with the hook shot in order to grab that pot one time, as opposed to having to grab it multiple times to finally pick it up. Saves about a few frames there. This room is where you would do, or I guess the room below is where you would do the trick that Gerbo was talking about. But again, we don't allow that trick in this run, nor any of the no major glitches categories.
Okay. Yeah, Diver Down is a very useful trick, especially in randomizer. It lets you move around very quickly. Sometimes if you drown a key in the water, you forget to go around and pick up the key, it lets you go in the water and grab the key still from the pot.
Yeah. Okay, so coming up is Argus. So here we go. Everything in this dungeon has been really easy. You should basically throughout this dungeon, you should not have any concern of dying. You might get hit a few times, but the enemies don't do a lot of damage, and we have so much hearts, so you're never in concern of dying at all. And that also includes this boss fight. There we go. There's another strat that I didn't do. We call it Zero Cycle Argus. I didn't do it because it's very hard. And it's also random whether or not you get the Zero Cycle anyway due to the RNG of Argus. So I just did that strat the way you're supposed to do it. But, I mean, maybe not as intended because, you know, it's supposed to be the second dungeon and I'm not supposed to have the Tempered Sword if I was doing this in order, but yeah.
What does Zero Cycle Argus look like?
So you do an item dash with the hook shot, And then it basically sets you up in a position where Link is poking out a sword, and you just hookshot the puffballs, and the puffballs just die very fast. And it does look really cool, but it's really hard to do.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is another long stretch without seeing a dungeon for a while. There is a couple things to talk about. And then after those two tricks, it's basically just me collecting items. First off, here, getting this next heart piece. If I warp in a specific spot, I think right around here, I think that's good enough. I think I am a little bit too far left. I got the heart piece. Oh, okay, yeah. Alright. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to position myself to where I would warp into... I would be standing on that grass tile, pick up the heart piece, and then immediately warp back into the Dark World, because when you warp, and then you're on an object that you're not supposed to be on, then the game takes you back to the Dark World, because, well, the game just freaks out, but... And so that's what I was trying to take advantage of there when I got that heart piece, but that didn't happen. Loses a few seconds, that's okay. And then the next trick coming up is bomb duplication. So the big bomb is available in the bomb shop, which is Link's House in the Dark World. Available when you complete Misermire and Ice Palace. 100 rupees. And I do have 100 rupees. Hopefully I don't fail it. Otherwise I do have to find rupees somewhere else if I fail it, and that'd be really bad. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I buy the bomb, I'm going to lay it down, and then screen transition right as soon as the bomb explodes, and then I will keep the bomb into the next screen. So here we go. Nice! So that just simply saves having to go all the way around the whole screen just to get over here, and that's pretty much it. It's a really cool trick, and we do need the big bomb in order to set it over here to this spot, which will be a Great Fairy Fountain Cave that allows me to upgrade some items, particularly our Tempered Sword. Fun fact, this does not work if you throw in just your Master Sword, just to skip the Tempered Sword. So you do need to throw in the Tempered Sword in order to get this sword upgrade. So this will be our final sword upgrade, and then we'll also throw in our bow in here, which will upgrade our arrows to silver arrows. Silver arrows is supposed to be required, but there is a way to beat the game without needing silver arrows, but this is 100%, so we are going to get the silver arrows anyway. And then from here on, at least for a while, I am collecting items, so, yeah. More talk from Gerbo.
Yeah, so I'll allude more to what MJ was talking about with killing Ganon without silver arrows. So, in the Ganon fight, when Ganon teleports, it is possible to spin slash Ganon right before he teleports to deal damage to him. It's a really frame-ish kind of perfect. It takes a lot of practice to get used to it. But it is possible.
Yeah.
I guess I have a few things to mention. No Holidays Allowed submissions will be opening on October 1st, and the event will be from December 4th through 8th this year. So we're really excited to bring back No Holidays Allowed again this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of that event. Okay, what's that?
What's the next dungeon coming up then?
Turtle Rock, because we have 6 crystals now.
Yep. Oh, Turtle Rock. Okay, I love Turtle Rock actually. I have a love and hate relationship with that dungeon.
Yeah, yeah, that dungeon can be a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. So when do we get our? So red mail is in is it in Ganon's Tower?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know so much because I don't think I've ever beaten this game in its entirety in vanilla.
Oh, okay.
I was doing randomizers of this game before I even attempted to speedrun at vanilla. Same way as Super Metroid, I did randomizers of that before I even did my first 80% run.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so real quick in that cave, you saw that I walked over the pit there, and this saves having to menu to hookshot in order to get past that cave. You can walk on the edges of pits, which is how I was able to walk across the pit like that. Alright, so get this heart piece. The lumberjacks are not cutting that tree down after you beat Aghanim, but this is the only convenient place where I can get this heart piece, so... one more item to get before we head back to Death Mountain for the final time, in order to finally go to our next dungeon, which is the Ice Rod. Now, the Ice Rod is required, but it is so far out of the way that sometimes it can be easy to forget this item. So we are gonna get the Ice Rod here. So there we go, as our final item added to our inventory. And now we're heading to back to Death Mountain for the final time. So when you item dash with the hookshot, that gives you super speed stay, which is much easier than setting up the spin attack method. So there's my item dash, and there I got super speed, which is very useful. I guess I didn't talk about this, but the boulders and these enemies known as dead rocks, they move randomly. And they can move in very unfavorable ways to where you just get hit and take a lot of damage in the process of where you need to go. It can be really annoying. Alright, so heading through some caves. And now here we are, we're gonna... Oh, hold on. Alright, hold on. Let me reset their positions, so that way we're not waiting for those dead rocks to not turn purple. Okay, move out of the way. Get super speed here, so that way I am hammering these pegs really quickly. And then this is where we need Quake. So I didn't item dash there with the medallions. Hard to notice, but hopefully if I did it right, I will have super speed going into the dungeon. And it just saves a little bit of time, but it looks really cool. There's my super speed. Oh, I fell off the ledge the wrong way, but that's okay. I still got to show off the super speed, so that's all that matters to me. Alright, so this is Turtle Rock. Not to be confused with Turtle Rock in Link's Awakening and A Link Between Worlds. Turtle Rock is a really crazy dungeon. You do use a lot of magic here. Fortunately, I do have half magic, so magic management isn't as impactful. But it's still a really hard dungeon. A lot of enemies hit very hard due to the fact that I do not have blue mail. Alright, so I'm going to hookshot this torch in order to respawn myself back into this room, so that way I am not riding the platform all the way back around just to get here. And then I am using the cape. It allows me to turn invisible, which allows me to just dash right through those rolling logs. Those logs do 3 hearts of damage if you get hit by them. In the any % run without the cape, then there's some invincibility stuff that you do with the hookshot in order to go through that room instead. Alright, coming up is the Chain Chomps. The Chain Chomps hit for 4 hearts of damage. They move randomly. Come on, get me out of here, get me out of here. Okay, we are out of here. Alright. That was, that room can go really wrong. Like, you can do that room as safe as you can, you still get yourself screwed in that room. But that didn't happen. So earlier I defeated a Pokey, and there's 3 rooms with Pokies. We're about to approach another room with a Pokey, and they move in 4 different directions, and there's some strats with all 4 patterns. Okay. So I did get hit by that bunny beam. That's okay, because I'm gonna turn back into human form like that. So grab the big key. You could go down, but we're gonna go this way instead. It's quicker. You're supposed to hit that switch again, but since it's 100%, I do have to go out of my way to for a couple other items later. Oh, come on. Okay, not bad. I'm gonna grab that heart just for... So we're gonna go this way. You're not supposed to go here, but... So this is a bit of a detour for a heart piece that can be very easy to miss, because I think as a casual player you wouldn't really think to warp in this spot, but if you warp over here, then you're taken to this cave full of these mimics. Oh, come on. Alright. And grab this heart piece. So we need 1 more heart piece to get. Okay, so then now we're gonna go to the second part of this dungeon. Alright, so the item of the dungeon is the mirror shield. Optional item, but required 100%. And there is actually a lower tier variation shield that I skipped, known as the red shield. But because we can get the mirror shield here, it is not worth getting the red shield at all. Alright, so this room it looks really complicated to go through, but if you know where to go, it's not that bad. And yeah, we're through. So coming up is a 2 rooms with a lot of laser shooting enemies. And this is where having the mirror shield is supposed to be required, but there's a way around it. But since I do have the mirror shield, I can just do this. The shield deflects those laser beams, which is convenient because those lasers do 4 hearts of damage. Okay, and now coming up is Trinex, which is a boss with 3 heads, and this is where having both the fire rod and the ice rod is required. You need the ice rod for the red head and the fire rod for the blue head. And with the gold sword, it takes 3 hits each. Okay, once you defeat both of them, now off to the second phase, and it takes 3 hits for this phase as well. Hold on, this is not going well. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a hard-hitting fight, as you can see. You can see how much health I just lost there from getting hit those 2 times. Interestingly, this is the only fight where the heart piece will always spawn in the middle. And that's because you can sometimes kill Trinex out of bounds, which would otherwise make the heart piece inaccessible. Alright, so that's all 7 crystals, and then we're on our way to Ganon's Tower. So we finally rescued Zelda, this for the 2nd time in this game. We've got to go through some text over here. Alright, so we do gotta take a little bit of a detour, as we still need one more heart piece. Ah. Try to get super speed there. It'll only save a little bit of time, but that's okay. Okay. That's... okay, yeah. So, as you can see, I'm not cheating. You're supposed to use ether in order to know that those that's accessible floor that you can walk on. But if you know where they are, then you don't need to use ether. All right, so that's our last heart piece. So now we got 20 hearts, and now it's time for Ganon's Tower. And Ganon's Tower is it's similar to Castle Dungeon, to where it's essentially a gauntlet of a lot of difficult rooms. So this is where normally if I had a commentator with me, I would let them do a lot of the talking, because I usually focus a lot when I'm doing this dungeon, but I'll try my best here.
Yeah, I have no idea what this dungeon looks like. Vanilla.
So I'm gonna grab these two
in general,
keys.
there are... Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, in general, there are a few keys around here. Got a lot of lovely rooms around here. A lot of them M-Chan won't need to go into because there aren't any items. Just some nice movement. Samaria is used a lot within the first few rooms here just to hit these blocks, so we don't have to lay bombs or do any other slower methods of hitting those blocks.
Yeah.
They really do hide a lot of keys here in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, so there's a left and right side. We're gonna go to the left side. We have no interest in going to the right side. Basically this first part is pretty much a lot of puzzle solving, and utilizing all the items that we have. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to bonk over that warp portal without needing to take it. And then again, if you know where the floor is, then you don't need to light up that torch, which skips that puzzle. So again, I'm not cheating. You are not in a good spot. Okay, so coming up is Armos again, but this time on ice. It takes the same amount of hits to beat him, but with silver arrows, you can defeat them in one shot. So, in some ways, this fight is easy and hard for both for different reasons. So normally this is where I use the mirror and warp out of here, because all you need here is the big key, but I'm going to take a little bit of a detour, go in here, open up this big chest, and that is red mail. So our last upgrade, and now we're very defensive, lots of hearts. Hopefully I don't die. It is still possible if the rest of the dungeon doesn't go well, but, well, let's see. So now this is where things get really hard, because now this next part of the dungeon is a lot of combating. Now, fortunately, in 100%, a lot of these rooms are much easier to do as opposed to the any percent run, where you don't have silver arrows, gold sword, the mirror shield, etc., etc. As well as, you know, we have significantly more hearts, so we're able to survive in this dungeon more. So, yeah, a lot of these strats are much easier to do. I'm gonna fall down here on purpose so I can use the iframes in order to dash these cannonballs. And then coming up is the Gauntlet, which are 5 really hard rooms all in a row. That's the first room. Oh, come on. Oh my gosh. It's a lot of reading and reacting in these rooms. And unfortunately that didn't go. Let's see if we can make it. Okay, so far not doing good. Okay, that one was okay. Alright, that one was really good. I like that. And I like that as well. And I got the arrow drop, which is good because we want arrows in the rest for the rest of the dungeon. Nice. So Landmola round 2, as you can see, 1 silver arrow per Landmola hit, beats them quite easily. But if you miss a shot, then that fight gets really laggy because the silver arrows do cause a lot of lag. Nice. So in these next 2 rooms, you would normally use a combination of lamp and the fire rod, but because we have so much magic, due to having half magic, we're just gonna use the fire rod all the way. And there's normally a full magic refill in this room, but need it. Okay, so I shouldn't need to do this, but I'm gonna do it for the sake of safety. I'm gonna refill on everything. And now coming up is Moldorm. Now there is a way to skip this fight, but it's really hard to do. And you can lose more time than it saves, so we're not gonna do it. In fact, Moldorm's really easy anyway. Just 2 hits with the gold sword, and you win. Okay, and now, you might notice a pattern here. We saw every Light World boss so far. So then the next Light World boss is Aghanim. So this time, Aghanim has 3 clones. You have to hit the real one. 6 shots. It's really hard because you need really good geometry. If you're really good, you can get a 2 cycle. But it's random anyway because, as you can see, the real Aghanim can give you a blue ball, which means you don't get the 2 cycle. So usually you expect about a 3 cycle, maybe 4. 4 is okay. But yeah. Okay, and now coming up is Ganon, the final fight. So, Ganon's really straightforward in 100%, because I have all these crazy upgrades, but there's still quite a bit to explain here. It goes really fast if everything goes well, so we'll see how this goes. We'll try our best. So it takes 6 hits per phase. The hits don't carry over to the next phase at all. But I like to hit Ganon more times than I need to anyway, as more of a safety measure, and also it's fun. I can use the hook shot in order to, because you can't get hit while you're using the hook shot, in order to dodge these bats. So, in this phase, Ganon will warp randomly, and he's giving me a lot of warps. Okay, so now the 4th phase is where you need silver arrows. So you can do a torch glitch there, but I didn't get it. It's not that important with silver arrows. 4 silver arrows beats him, and there we go. That is the fight. Alright, and so as soon as I enter the Triforce room, that is when time is... time. Oh, that is a PB. Alright, I will take it. $1:48.51. That is a...
Congratulations.
That is a 6-second PB.
That is a nice PB.
Yeah. I didn't think I would PB that run, considering the RNG that I got.
That was only 1 blue ball on Aga 2. That's nice.
Yeah.
You really got good Aga 2 patterns. I have never seen more beautiful Aga 2 patterns. So yeah, congratulations on the PB. Where can people find you, Amchan?
Yeah, I am. Well, whenever I am actively working on a speedrun project, I am live on twitch.tv/mchanted38, where whatever speedrun project I work on, it can range from Mario games, particularly new Super Mario Bros. Games, or the 2D Zelda games. Those are usually what I mainly run. Sometimes I'll run other stuff for fun, such as Pokemon. And if I am working on something, then I will usually be actively live 3 to 4 times a day, or 3 to 4 times a week. But my main source of content is YouTube, where I do Let's Plays of a variety of different games at youtube.com/itsmchanty38. A lot of my casual and variety content is on YouTube, and again, it's my main source of content. Yeah. Once again, thank you to The Real Gerbo for inviting me on to showcase this game. I ran this game on the main schedule last year, and that went really well as well. So, yeah, I'm really happy that I got to showcase this game. This game always holds a special place in me, because it's the original game that got me into speedrunning.
SNES games are really good at getting people into speedrunning. My thing that got me into speedrunning was the Metroid series, but I've always had a nice special place in my heart for Zelda games.
Yeah.
Link to the Past in particular is special. When I grew up, I watched my dad playing it a lot, so... do you need to watch through the credits for video submission purposes?
Technically, yes.
We can run that through.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I don't know if the runner after this is ready, because I know there is another run coming after this.
Yeah, we have a few minutes to spare, so
okay.
We can run it through for the credits.
Okay.
I want you to be able to submit your PV.
Yeah. So basically, at the very end, the reason the credits are required for this game in particular is because the game has a death count on the credits. It keeps track of how many times you've either died or save and quit, and especially in the glitch categories where you save and quit, where saving and quitting is allowed in those categories. So the verifiers need to be able to verify how many times you either died or save and quit, and if it doesn't match up with the results on the credits, then it's not verifiable.
I've always loved this little recap in the credits, just telling you everything that you've seen.
Yeah, it's really cool, and the music's great too. Yeah, so this is a long credit sequence, so I guess I can talk about that. So I did mention that I got into this game in 2012, July 2012, where I watched Cypher's AGDQ run at that time, and I was really inspired to after that run to try the game out myself. I've never played the game up until then, and seeing it, it looked really fun, and yeah, so I bought the game and tried it out myself. I got like a 3 hour and 40 minute time on 100% in particular, um, and I took it very casually. Um, Up until 20 summer of 2015, where I actually joined the community, because at the time I didn't know there was a community of runners. When I was getting into speedrunning, I didn't know there was a community of runners who also like a large number of people who also speedrun the same game. Um, so I joined the community in summer of 2015, and that's when I became inspired to really take the game seriously. When I watched Zelda run 100% during SGDQ of that year, and I got to meet a lot of people joining the community, and really motivated me to push the game as seriously as I have for all these years.
So, how long did it take you to get to the sub 2 hour mark?
So I got sub 2 hour. My first sub 2 hour, I believe, was 2016. So about a year into taking when I started taking the game seriously, and really started pushing the game for myself, and so it took me about a year.
Okay. Is the barrier of entry for 100% is that very high, or?
I mean, like, to get a decent time, it's not too hard. Like, you don't need like the best luck in order to get a really good time. Like, sub 2 hours obviously is the first somewhat major milestone goal if you're for grinding 100%. And then the next major milestone would likely be sub 150, which then that's when you need to like put in, quite a bit of effort into well, not only getting decent strats, but as well as getting decent luck.
So with obviously sub 150, sub 149 for you, what is your next goal for time?
I don't know how long it'll take me. As a Link to the Past isn't particularly like my main primary game as it used to be. But I'm hoping eventually I can get a 147 in 100%. It'll be really hard with all the struts that I go for. But I would like to make it happen eventually.
Okay. Good goals. What is the fastest time for 100% so far?
It's an hour and 41 minutes by Zelda, okay. And he's been on the top for many years, uncontested for as long as I've been in the community. He doesn't run much anymore, but his record still stays on the top, even as of today.
Okay.
He's a monster at this game.
What is the quest thing here? I don't think I've seen it before.
Yeah, so this is the death count or the save and quit count.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as you can see, they are all going to say zeros because I didn't die a single time, and nor did I save and quit a single time.
Nice.
Notice how in Japanese they spelled Ganon with 2 N's. The end. And with that, thank you all for watching the run. And I hope you all enjoyed.
Thank you very much for running for us, M-Chan. We will be right back after a quick intermission with Linkamaster running Super Metroid Rise 32%.